Okay, we'll call the order of the October 11th, 2023 zoning board of appeals meeting. Could we have roll call, please?
Oakland,
Here.
Mead,
Here.
Wagman,
Here.
Gersta.
Here.
Absent is Smith.
Okay, ZBA 23-020, public hearing for requested variance to increase. Oh, yeah, we'll do the minutes first. Need approval of minutes from September 13th.
Got a extra G to my name.
I saw that. I know the fine art order. Oh, but it's consistently throughout. What?
You know, I was checking on you.
She was in Costa Rica, so I didn't make a big deal of
And that's the way they spell it now.
it.
Google Translator, right? I'll correct that.
Okay, approval of the minutes with one correction.
There you go.
Numerous times.
Yes.
We did a motion to approve.
Yeah, I motion to. I'll second that.
And roll call, please.
Mead,
Here.
Wagman,
Yes.
Gersta,
Yes.
Oakland.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, number 4 on the agenda, ZBA 23-020. Public hearing for requested variance to increase the maximum allowable height from a for privacy fence and the front yard setback from 4 feet to 6 feet at 5568 Great Eagle Road. And I assume you folks are the applicants?
Yes, my husband's not here. He's the one that's supposed to be on Zoom.
Yeah, he's on there.
Okay, if you'd like to come forward, state your name, and swear you in real quick, and then tell us about your project.
Okay, my name is Lisa Damon. Last name is spelled D-A-M-M-A-N-N. And, so we have a couple different changes here after everybody came out and put all their little flags everywhere. We are
Let
gonna
me
go,
swear you in real quick. You swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
yes,
Please go ahead.
I'm so sorry.
So
I'm so nervous. I'm like,
Yep, no, you're good.
okay,
You're my friend.
That's right. I'm about to tell you, treat this like a conversation.
okay.
Right? That's all this is.
I never did good in these kinds of things at school either. So, yes, we did a couple changes since, all the people came out to do the flags. There was a lot of flags put in the frontage there. So we did go in a little more.
Okay.
From the street, we're going in 48 feet. From the street to, upper driveway. So it's about 19 feet away from our driveway. So we're gonna leave those 2 front trees with the bricks around them. That's the fence is gonna be behind that. And then we're gonna be in on the property line on that pole that's out there. It's gonna be 17 feet in from that and 42 feet in from the street.
Okay, so 42 in from the street. I'm gonna try to figure out what that is. We're about 30 from the edge of road to the property line, so 42 would be another. It sort of bows in and out, but if it's 42 feet off the edge of the road, say that's approximately 12 feet in from the property line. Does that sound
All right.
accurate? Paul, you can unmute, man.
I don't know where to.
Oh, hold on, I'm gonna have to turn the volume up on the TV perhaps, to see what's going on. Oh, yeah. Hey, Paul, can you hear us? Paul, say something.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Perfect.
I guess it must have been my earbuds. I'm sorry. I was trying to hear. It's noisy outside here.
So we're 42 feet in from the edge of road pavement, Paul?
I guess you were saying, Lisa, it was 17 feet in from that property marker, then
Yeah, so a total of 42 feet from the street.
so maybe that marker, maybe that stake is
Where the
24 feet
corner
in, or it was
post would
supposed to be
be.
22. I think that's where you're getting the number, or so 17 in from the stake.
Yep, 17 feet
Okay.
in from the stake.
Okay, guys, just for everyone's reference here at the table then, you have three, as part of the staff report, you have three exhibits that show up shaded in area for the back of the property. I think they're labeled option 1 and option 2, or versions of option 2. Could be option 3, I don't know why it's not. Option 1 was showing the initial request of the applicant, which is taking that fence out all the way to the right of way line, all the way to the property. I think the second one I showed, option 2, for ordinance, is if we held it back 30 feet from the property line per ordinance. That's where the fence alignment would be. And then option 3 was showing a compromise, which moved the fence back 15 feet from the property line, but then also angled it as it approached the house and driveway. They have a landscape feature out front, and it would angle so that that would be on the outside of the fence, not enclosed within it. And I guess based on what you've said so far, that sounds more like the option you're asking for now.
Yes.
Yeah, and just one straight line, so brings it in a little bit more as well. Sorry.
Just pulling it back to either option 2 or option 2 compromise, it's still 6 foot, not 4 foot. That's the case.
Yeah, it's a 6.
So that's basically, that's actually leaving a lot more frontage than what we initially had planned. So we were wanting to put a 6-foot fence up. Just to make it look good. We didn't want to have a 6 foot, 6 foot, and then 4 foot going this way. We have 2 small children. I don't want them going in and out of fences or trying to hop fence. Picket fence was out of the question,
We
because I know
found out,
my little one will probably.
found out since cable come and electric come, they have 3 lines running through the property right here and running cables and electricity through the line here. So the fence had to go closer in from the road. On the far side, on the back fence, it had to come in. Cause there was too many electrical wires.
So up on the screen right now, everyone, this is doing a little street view tour of the house. I'm gonna start down from the cul-de-sac at Bitterroot and Gray Eagle. Okay. So we're looking north of Bitterroot. The house is to your left. I guess these are adjacent neighboring properties on the right. This is their driveway, enters the house, front door, and the sidewalk wraps around, go front door on the cul-de-sac. They want to start the fence at roughly this corner of the house, the northeast corner of the house. These 2 trees and plantings now have, they've shown me some other pictures, they have some landscape block around that now, that's kind of more of a raised ornamental bed. If we go down the road farther, before we talk about the fence line, at this stake is the property corner. And these bushes are planted at the north end of their property on their side. So the fence along the north side would connect, you can see a utility pedestal back there in the distance. It would connect over to this fence. And then this way across the front. So initially they were asking for the 6-foot fence to go along the north end of the property, all the way to this fence post.
Actually 17 feet in past this post.
Right, but initially, the house was to come here and then over. Now they would stop 17 feet in from that post. Travel across parallel to the road, and then angle back to the corner of the house. Paul, can you see the screen?
Yes.
I'm sort of moving this arrow on this finger. I think that's the sort of the alignment that will go back to the house, kind of like that left one exhibit. So that these trees and landscape area will be on the outside. Just so that
Yeah.
everyone's clear on what the ask is.
It would kind of corner around those bushes almost.
Of course,
on the
if we're
north line.
talking about full compliance with ordinance, we'd be coming pretty much off the corner of the house to a spot back, just snugging right up to this last bush. Or maybe it was even just the other side of it. It would be 30 feet back in from this corner. You'll use this corner as reference for the property line, for the right of way line. That is the northeast corner of the property. And the front yard setback would extend 30 feet back into the property from there. The front yard setback is the area we're talking about for the variance. That is an area where all you would be allowed is a 4-foot fence. And it couldn't be a solid second steering fence per ordinance. It would have to be a picket style. Or a ornamental iron or aluminum fence. So again, for ordinance, 6-foot high privacy fence is allowed 30 feet back from the property line.
That could be done, you'll have to wait for a little feet. On the outside, it's unrestrained plan. You go 30 feet from the property line. We're already 42.
Yeah.
On the second page of your staff report, I tried to, with black marker, represent the potential fence in those two street views on the second page of staff report, but again, that did not sound like what they're asking for at this point. That represented the original request to bring it all the way out to the right of it.
So on the north side of the property, there are some bushes planted. The fence is proposed to go inside towards your house of the bushes or on the outside?
So it would be, the bushes would be inside the fence. Like the fence would be like right here and then come at an angle up towards those two trees that have the brick around it.
Yeah,
The bushes would be in their yard, the fence would be on the other side of the bushes.
okay, that's what I'm asking.
Which the apartment guy that owns this, all the apartment buildings, he wanted it to be on our property. The weeping willows, he don't care for them.
Yeah, we were also going on that north line. We are gonna kind of cut in just a couple feet into our yard to keep the electric boxes facing towards his property. He said he'd prefer it that way. Excuse me, the owner as well.
I mean, that part's not relevant, but then always talking about this.
Right, exactly.
That's correct.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get a visual exactly.
I know, I wish I had better. I did take some pictures.
About the,
Not gonna help.
The style fence. Is that not an issue here then?
The variance would be to, if the variance is approved, it is to allow the 6-foot privacy fence.
Okay,
In that front part along the road.
Correct.
Everything else is gonna be 6-foot privacy regardless. right?
Correct.
But if there, you said when they compromise and they set back far enough, then that they don't need the variance?
They have to go 30 feet back, Dane, to not need the variance, to comply with ordinance. And again, if you look at these, there's a version here, to comply with ordinance, they have to come all the way 30 feet back to the property line, basically to the corner of the garage. That's to comply with ordinance, no variance needed. If you were to wholesale deny this, that's what they would have to do.
And that could be a 6-foot privacy fence.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yep. Once you are in that 30, that first 30 feet from the right of way line back into the property, that's considered the front yard setback. That's where there's a prohibition against the 6-foot privacy fence. So the variance is to allow it somewhere in that first 30 feet. What it sounds like they're asking for now is to no longer bring it all the way up to the property line, but to hold it 17 feet back. That still requires a variance because it's still within that 30-foot setback area.
And I believe it would, the angle we'd be coming, it would be 26 feet in from the property line on the driveway. So almost to the garage.
So why is it, do you feel that you need to have why don't, I guess my question is, if you just did the 30 feet back, then you really wouldn't need our approval, so why is it that you want the extra?
13 feet at this point.
Yeah,
We just kind of pictured when we got it, we pictured having like that whole yard kind of
We didn't
fenced
know
off. We
anything
just want
about
more
side frontage
backyard.
lots and anything, so we just thought, hey, we'll put a privacy fence up, because the apartments are not very appealing to look out your window and look at. And you don't know what kind of people they are and who comes in and out of them, so we just like our privacy and our kids to feel secure in our yard.
right. But so your original plan, you just didn't realize that it would affect any ordinances, so you just, that's why you put it where you're at.
Right.
So also what we have to contemplate for these variances are some type of demonstrable hardship. What would that be other than hypothetical? We don't know who might move in or things like that. What would a true hardship be that deserves?
I mean,
And
mean, some of it is
kid-
privacy. We're gonna have our pool and our trampoline set up, kind of like to have the little bit of privacy back there, I guess. And I didn't think it was pushing too
we
far
just
out.
didn't
It's
want
kind of
fence
going.
that was short enough for somebody to jump or hop over.
But the hardship would be if you didn't get the extra 13 feet, right? I mean, cause if you went back to the 30, you'd have your secure, your 6-foot fence without a variance. You're just asking for extra 13 feet, so I guess what would be the hardship if you didn't get that 13 feet?
I guess
Well, it keeps
I
the
mean, our
bush.
plan
It
is to
keeps that
put like
last bush.
I guess a gate right there by the garage, so you could enter the backyard right there. That's why we would wanna have the gate right there to have it at an angle.
And it keeps the group of bushes together in the back as well. Otherwise, that would be on the outside.
And there's trees that we have to go through too. All those trees, there's, one of them will probably have to come down.
Paul hasn't seen it yet, but. Electric lines, cable lines. Are through the whole property on the backside. On the whole backside of the property, cable lines and electrical lines.
Yep.
Like,
Usually a picture. This is the corner of our garage here. And then we have all these trees right here. In our back, like this tree right here would be right diagonal on the. This is where we would want to go up this way. And this is our last weeping willow tree on the corner. You see all these flags here, it was kind of hard where to put it, otherwise you were gonna. No matter where you wanted it, we're gonna hit something.
Well, remember, you have a utility easement along that northernmost property line as well. That's why you guys already signed a waiver of putting it in utility easement.
Right,
It's a separate matter. That doesn't really concern the ZBA. If you look at the screen, if I try to draw in yellow-ish is the fence if it were installed per ordinance, right? So it can travel along that northern property line outside of those bushes. And then it would follow parallel to the property line, parallel to Bitterroot Road. Back towards the house, and it would hit pretty much at the corner of the house. That's the setback. The other line represents, consider those two lines offset by 13 feet. And they would be coming 13 feet closer to Bitterroot, closer to the property line, and it would angle back to the house. you know,
I think the hardship
Right there.
would be without the extra feet. Cause if they have to put another garage on, that would be the place for it, next to the house there. Cause I've already said, you need you need another garage here. You can't really put it in the front, and the back would be the place where where you go up the driveway. I said you need a garage here eventually. 1.5 car garage or something for. They had so much stuff when they moved into this house.
Like we downsized, but the yard was what we wanted.
Oh, you can't do this without another garage stuff. That,
But the garage wouldn't stick out 13 feet past the existing garage, would it?
figured it would go 19 feet
I mean, towards the,
from the garage.
to the front setback, towards the front setback.
correct, you couldn't, so the garage, if this is the house here, right? Keep trying to draw. If they did a garage addition that was connected to the house, not a freestanding, is that what we're talking about?
I would think freestanding.
Oh, well, that's a whole different kettle of fish then.
I do not.
Yeah, that's something for future we were
Yeah.
thinking of, not right now.
It's, right, it's not in the plans yet.
Certainly that garage, wherever it's at, could not be in the front yard setback either, so.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think there's a whole set of things with that one, when that, for when that one comes up.
See, I didn't know nothing about the fence setting when I didn't know nothing about that when I said you guys have to have a garage in the back. You can't really put a garage in front of themselves. There's no room. You have to.
We're getting off the
Right.
story, you're talking about a garage, that's nothing to do with what we're dealing with today.
Right, but I mean, we were figuring there had to be room for it from the existing corner of the house. To get through there. I hadn't really discussed that with Paul because I told her you need a garage someday. That could be 15 years from now.
Oh, we talked about it. If this company does something good next year.
Hopefully that's clear enough to show what we're talking. I don't know if there's any confusion at this point, but again, the dashed line there would be compliance, that's the edge of the front yard setback, that's 30 feet back from the property line. The other line is, would require a variance because it would be a 6-foot fence in that front yard setback.
All right, well, I don't see anybody else that wanted to make comments here as far as neighbors, everybody was notified of course,
Absolutely.
always and
Yeah, I
okay,
guess I would ask that question, I mean, you've talked with the landlord behind you
Yeah, we talked to our neighbor too.
across the street.
Yep.
One, and they were
That's how many people were notified. That's how many people were notified. Mailing list, people who are within 300 feet.
okay, we'll close the public hearing. And thank you.
Was it,
Let's go ahead.
Those you get
No,
to
we're gonna have a little discussion.
sorry,
George, any,
It is a different shaped property with the. Oh, cul-de-sac there. That's the thing that got me all confused. There's no traffic, people not gonna drive around the corner, it could be blocked by anything.
Dean, I thought your observation was a good one. What difference does 13 feet make to keep it within ordinance? George mentioned that the discussion about the garage is pretty much irrelevant, but if there was one in the future, they could very well be back here asking for another variance, and then we pile a variance on top of a variance, which I'm not even sure how that legally would even wash out, but, so I'm wondering about sticking with ordinance. Brad, do you have any, well, Dave, you were gonna say
So
something.
no, I was just, I think when you brought up about the hardship, you know, changing the variance over a hardship, I feel like they really, when they planned it, they really, you know, which most people, I probably would do the same thing. I would just kind of plan out my fence this way and then realize there's an ordinance, and now that they have to have a variance, I don't really see where if they take it back the other 13 feet, where it's really gonna affect them that much. You know, so this way we don't have to make a variance and they can still have their 6-foot fence and their privacy. And
This might be a helpful, you have these, but it's a little more clear on the screen. And if I go back and forth, so there's, again, that's the shaded area would really be the alignment of the fence if we're for ordinance, and then watch that right edge, right? So that would just jot out, that's the variance request. That's ordinance, boom, there's the variance request.
Brad, you were gonna say something.
Well, I mean, we've certainly. But once before, but like Dean was saying, this is definitely a unique. Those are generally corner lots, right? This is right along the road. This is a large swath, a long swath along the road. So yeah, I'm trying to envision a 6-foot fence all along. A 6-foot privacy fences.
Just for sake of observation, there doesn't seem to be any other fences around the area. The ones we have done in the past have pretty much butted up to somebody else's backyard that also had one.
And I stopped, it's over off of Flat Willow, so I drove by, and when I saw the yard and setback, I guess in my mind, I was envisioning it coming off of right off the corner of the house anyway, because that's usually what you see.
Yeah.
So that's why when we see that they actually want to come into the setback with the 6-foot, and I'm thinking, you know, that really, I don't know, aesthetically, it just seems like you would normally see it off the corner of the house, where you would expect to see a fence for the backyard.
Anything else from the board? Everybody have a decision in mind, or we need more discussion?
Right, there were. I guess it was one.
There were two options.
Either 6-foot per the ordinance, back 13 feet. Or it's allow 6-foot coming in 13 feet. But if you came in at 13 feet anyways, it would have to be a 4-foot non-privacy.
No, it's, the variance is for it to be a 6-foot fence in the front yard. Again, if it was 4 foot on privacy, no variance needed. The variance request is for a 6-foot privacy fence within the front yard setback. And if someone's gonna make a motion to approve that, make it so that it is, we're approving a variance to allow a 6-foot privacy fence in the front yard setback. To be located 17 feet back into the property from the right.
It looks like the compromise is basically, it's like I was saying, it's connects it to the corner of the house. And it allows them to have, by having it angled there, having it, you know, into the setback, right? That's what the compromise was, because the original was actually not at the corner of the house, it was all the way out.
That's correct. Again, if we, I'll jog back and forth between these two. So if it was ordinance, it would come from the corner of the house. And run right back to the rear property line, parallel to their property line. The compromise still connects to the corner of the house, but it comes out into the front yard setback at a 45-degree angle, and then it runs parallel to the property line. It's just that this setback distance in the right of way will now be 17 feet as opposed to 30. That's the variance request.
So then we'd have to decide whether if we did want to, would the compromise vote be a separate vote?
No,
Well, I was gonna say we first would deny the initial
No.
request and then,
no, the request, what you have before you now is a request for a variance to allow a 6-foot fence in the front yard setback to be located 17 feet back. That's the only vote you have to make, is whether you want to allow that or not.
we couldn't make another motion then to approve, say, option number 2, compromise.
That's what it is. Yeah, that's what you're doing. Because the request is now to allow the fence, but set back 17 feet from the property line.
So her request now is option 2, compromise.
Yes. Correct.
You
So
deny
that's
one
what
that
the-
you're doing.
So that, okay, because in the past, I think we voted to deny. And then, but I guess they haven't come forward and said that they wanted to change what they were asking. We denied what they were asking, then,
I suppose so.
Made it-
She's changed the request
yeah.
to the board. It's still a variance. It's just, the variance was initially based upon wanting that fence to be at the property line. Now the variance request is to have it, to approve it setback 17 feet from the property. To deny it altogether would mean that that fence has to be 30 feet back into the property.
Okay, so everybody understands, including me, what we're gonna vote on here is option number 2, the compromise. Right, is that, what's this compromise? No. Yeah,
I understand where we're at.
yeah,
There you go.
And was the staff recommendation for denial based on the compromise, or was it based on option 1?
It was based, the staff recommendation for denial was based upon the request to come all the way up to the property line. I made no recommendation on a compromise.
Okay, okay.
okay, then, I think where we're at is we need a motion to approve. Option number 2, compromise, and you can fill in.
Yeah.
Details later, but I think we all talked about it.
And we have to have a motion to bring it on.
Correct.
For a vote.
Yeah.
I make a motion. I make a motion for option 2 compromise.
There you go.
Like you said,
And roll call, Stephanie, if you would.
Thursday,
Yes.
Oakland,
Yes,
me,
yes, on the compromise.
Wyman.
Yes.
There you go. Well, this, as we talked when we met at Village Hall a couple weeks ago, this is a recommendation onto the board. So this will move on to committee of the whole next Tuesday already. There will be no presentation, but you're welcome to attend if you want, or you can attend virtually as well.
Okay. Okay,
Very good.
Sorry for all the confusion. I'm so sorry. When they came out to do all those flags, I was like, kind of threw all of our plans off, so.
There were a lot of flags in that area.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, just don't put a fence up, just what I was thinking, but I want the fence. Thank you.
Good night.
All right, any old business? Anybody? No? No public comment? We need a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call, please, Stephanie.
Me. Vogel,
Yes.
Gerstadt.
Yes.
Button.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Thanks, guys.